The chains rattled so loudly that my heart nearly stopped. I froze on my porch, staring at something no mother should ever see. My heart-patient daughter, Lily, chained by her wrists to our railing like a criminal. Her tiny chest was heaving, her lips trembling, and her oxygen monitor was blinking red. And standing right in front of her, HOA Karen, arms crossed, eyes burning, a padlock key swinging casually between her fingers. "You're breaking HOA porch decor rules," she hissed. "No medical equipment outside. No sitting on the porch. And definitely no children weakening the neighborhood image." Lily whimpered, "Mommy." I ran forward, my scream echoing through the street just as Karen stepped closer and tightened chains. What happened in the next few seconds would change everything, and trust me, what Karen did next will shock you. Hey, everyone, if you're watching this right now, I want to know, which city are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments below. I read every single one. And before I start this unbelievable story, make sure you hit subscribe, because the moment you hear what this HOA Karen did to my heart-patient daughter, you'll understand why this deserves justice, awareness, and a voice. All right, now let me take you straight to the moment everything went wrong. No dragging, no filler, just point-to-point reality. My name is Emily, and my daughter Lily is 6 years old. She was born with a rare heart condition that makes even gentle stress dangerous. The porch is her favorite place. It's where she gets fresh air without straining her body. Her wheelchair, her portable monitor, her comfort toys, everything is organized neatly outside. But Karen, our neighborhood's self-appointed image protector, has always hated that Lily sits outside. She hates the wheelchair. She hates the medical equipment. She hates that a sick child exists in her perfect community. And that day, Karen didn't just cross a line. She destroyed it. What you're about to hear is a story of cruelty, horror, bravery, and a twist that even I wasn't prepared for. Let's begin. It started as one of those calm mornings where nothing feels dangerous until everything suddenly is. Lily was sitting on the porch, wrapped in her soft yellow blanket, breathing calmly while drawing little hearts on her sketch pad. Her heart monitor beeped steadily, her oxygen levels slightly low but stable. I stood just inside the doorway, watching her with the kind of love only a mother of a medically fragile child understands. I had stepped inside for maybe 2 minutes to grab her warm tea. 2 minutes. When I returned, the cup slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. Because there she stood, HOA Karen, tall, stiff, her mouth twisted in disgust as she stared at Lily's medical equipment. But this time, she brought something with her. A thick metal chain, a heavy padlock, and a clipboard filled with printed HOA rules. Before I even processed what I was seeing, Karen stomped across the porch towards Lily, her shoes clacking against the wood. "What are you doing?" I yelled. Karen didn't even look at me. She grabbed the chain and wrapped it around the porch railing, then around Lily's wrists. My daughter gasped, frightened, her breaths turning shallow. "Stop. She's a heart patient. She can't handle stress." I screamed, rushing forward. Karen snapped her head toward me, eyes full of cold fire. "This child is ruining our neighborhood's visual standard. Visitors drive through and see a sick kid chained to machines. It's depressing. And illegal porch clutter." I felt my own heart pounding hard enough to crack ribs. "She's not clutter. She's a human being. Let her go." But Karen didn't stop. She yanked the chain tighter. The metal scraped Lily's fragile skin. Her little fingers trembled as she whispered, "Mommy, it hurts." My knees almost gave out. "Karen, I swear to God, unlock that chain." According to HOA Rule 7, Karen said, waving her papers, children with any kind of medical device must remain inside to maintain aesthetic balance. Your porch looks like a hospital ward. It's life-saving equipment. I cried. She can't be shut inside all day. She needs fresh air. Karen clicked her tongue sharply. "You chose to live here. If your child can't match our environment, maybe you should move." That sentence cut deeper than any knife. Her words, her tone, her hatred. She wasn't just targeting my porch. She was targeting my daughter's existence. And Lily's breathing was becoming fast and uneven. Her monitor beeped dangerously, warning of rising stress. I lunged forward to pull the chain off, but Karen stepped in front of Lily, blocking me. "Touch that chain," she growled, "and I'll file a criminal complaint for vandalizing HOA property. You put this on my daughter." I shouted, trembling with rage. "And I'll tell them you're lying," she snapped. "Everyone trusts me, not you." Her confidence terrified me. It meant this wasn't impulsive. She had been planning this. Then Karen leaned closer, smirking right in Lily's terrified face. "You're not special," she whispered to her. "Everyone has rules to follow, even sick kids." That was the moment Lily's monitor hit a red warning. Her heartbeat was spiking. Her oxygen was dropping. I tried to grab my phone to call 911, but Karen snatched the phone from my hand and threw it down the porch stairs. "You're not calling anyone," she hissed. "This is an HOA matter." A scream ripped out of me, not from fear, but from pure, uncontrollable rage. I cupped Lily's face, whispering, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here, hold on." But then, Karen did something unthinkable. She lifted the chain higher, forcing Lily's arms upward, making it harder for her to breathe. My daughter began gasping, her lips turning pale, her eyes glazing in panic. "Stop!" I shrieked. "You're going to kill her." Karen shrugged. "Maybe that's not my responsibility." At that point, something in me snapped, a mother's instinct, a primal fire. I shoved Karen away with all the strength I had, but she grabbed the railing, steadied herself, and glared at me like I was the criminal. "You just assaulted an HOA officer," she snarled. "I'm calling the police." But what she didn't know, what she couldn't even imagine, was that the moment she made that call, she signed her own downfall. Because I'm not just Lily's mother. I'm something Karen never expected. Something she's about to regret discovering. Karen's fingers trembled with fake outrage as she dialed 911, pacing on my porch like she was performing for invisible cameras. "Yes, hello," she barked dramatically, one hand pressed to her chest. "I'm an HOA officer, and this woman just physically assaulted me while I was enforcing neighborhood rules. She's dangerous. Send officers immediately." She emphasized every word like she was auditioning for an award. Meanwhile, my daughter's gasps grew sharper, thinner, more desperate. The chain dug into her wrists. Her breathing was collapsing into shallow hiccups of panic. I gently cupped her cheeks, whispering, "Lily, baby, look at mommy." Slow breath, slow. But she couldn't. Her condition didn't allow panic. Her heart wasn't strong enough. Every second mattered. I turned toward Karen, my voice shaking with fury and disbelief. "You're killing her. Do you understand that?" But Karen only rolled her eyes. "If she's that fragile, keep her inside. That's not my problem." She said it like she was talking about a broken piece of furniture, not a child clinging to life. I could feel my hands trembling with rage so bright it almost blinded me, but I forced myself to stay focused on Lily. I needed to get those chains off. I needed to calm her down. Don't even think about touching that chain. Karen snapped again. "The police will be here any minute. They'll handle it." She smirked, completely confident that the world orbiting her would agree with her delusions. "You're going to jail for this." She had no idea who she was dealing with. Because the officers she just called weren't random strangers. They weren't clueless rookies. They were my team. I wasn't just Lily's mom. I was the newly appointed police chief of Ridgewood County. But I didn't say a word. Not yet. Let Karen dig her own grave deeper. I heard the distant sound of sirens, rapid, urgent, cutting through the morning air as they grew closer. Karen stood straighter, smoothing her shirt, practicing her victim face, even smudging dust on her arm like she'd been attacked. It was almost unbelievable how far she was willing to go. When the patrol cruiser pulled up, 2 officers stepped out, Officer Ramirez and Officer Blake, both of whom had been under my leadership for months. They spotted me instantly, and confusion flashed across their faces. Ramirez lowered his sunglasses. "Chief," he whispered under his breath, trying not to expose anything, keeping it professional but clearly startled. Karen ran toward them dramatically, waving her clipboard like a flag. "Officers, thank goodness." That woman, she pointed at me violently, attacked me while I was performing my HOA duties. Ramirez's jaw tightened. Blake glanced at me, then at the chain around Lily's wrists, then back at Karen with disgust he couldn't hide. "Ma'am," Blake said carefully, "why is this child chained the porch?" Karen laughed, actually laughed. As I explained, she breaks HOA rules daily. I was securing her until her mother complied with the community standards. We're a premium neighborhood, officer. Ramirez blinked slowly. "You chain a child?" "It's temporary," Karen said. "Besides, she overreacts to everything because she's sick. Not my fault." My fists clenched. Lily whimpered again. I rushed to her, checking her oxygen monitor. Her heart rate was dangerously high. Her chest was struggling. "Officer Blake," I said, my voice controlled but shaking, "get me the bolt cutters. Now." He moved instantly, sprinting back to the cruiser. Karen lunged toward me. "You can't. This is HOA property. She has to stay. Shut up." I roared, louder than I'd ever shouted in my life. Karen froze, stunned. Ramirez stepped between us, not to protect her, but to hold himself back from arresting her on the spot. Blake returned with the cutters. I grabbed them, slid the blades around the chain. Snap! The metal broke. Lily fell forward into my arms, sobbing, trembling uncontrollably. I held her to my chest, whispering, "You're safe? I'm here. Mommy's here." Her pulse was still too high, her breathing too shallow. She needed medical help. "Fast, Ramirez," I said sharply, "call EMS. Code blue for pediatric cardiac distress." His voice cracked. "Already on it, Chief." And that's when Karen's face finally changed. Confusion. Doubt. A hint of fear. "Chief," she muttered. "What chief? What are you talking about?" I turned slowly toward her, my daughter in my arms, my voice icy with truth. "I'm the county police chief, Karen." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "And you," I continued, stepping closer, "just assaulted, endangered, and unlawfully restrained a medically fragile child." Ramirez stepped forward, pulling out handcuffs. "Ma'am, you're under arrest." Karen stumbled back, shaking her head wildly. No, I'm the victim. She pushed me. She can't arrest me. This is my neighborhood." Blake grabbed her arm firmly. "Ma'am, you chained a child. You're going to jail." Karen shrieked as Blake began reading her rights. "This isn't happening. I was enforcing rules. The HOA supports me. I did nothing wrong." But even as she screamed, something else happened. Neighbors stepped outside. One by one. Phones recording. Faces horrified. Others whispering, "Is that Karen? Did she chain a kid?" I knew she was crazy, but this? The truth was spreading faster than fire. Yet, the real twist hadn't even begun. Because while the officers restrained her, Karen suddenly pointed at my daughter. "That brat is faking it. She's fine. Look at her. She's crying for attention." Officer Ramirez almost lost his temper. But before he could respond, something terrible happened. Lily's body jolted. Her eyes fluttered. Her monitor beeped a sharp, piercing alarm. Her heart rate crashed. Her oxygen plummeted. Then her little body went limp in my arms. And the entire street went silent. Karen stopped screaming. Neighbors froze. The officers stiffened. And my heart, my entire world shattered. "Lily!" I screamed, shaking her gently. "Baby, stay with me." Ramirez yelled into his radio, "Emergency! Accelerate response. Child losing consciousness." Blake dropped Karen on the curb and rushed toward us. Karen stared, horrified, for the first time realizing this wasn't about rules or porches or her obsession with perfection. This was life and death. But it was too late for her guilt to matter. Because she didn't just break rules. She broke a child. And the next minutes would decide whether my little girl lived or died. The moment Lily went limp in my arms, time stopped. Everything The screaming neighbors, the police radio static, Karen's hysterical mumbling, faded into a slow, hollow silence. All I could hear was the weak, uneven beep, beep, beep of her heart monitor fighting to hang on. My baby's head slumped onto my shoulder, her skin turning cold, her lips fading toward a terrifying shade of blue. No, no, no. Lily, stay with me, I whispered, tapping her cheeks lightly. Baby, open your eyes. Mommy's right here. But her eyelashes didn't even flutter. Officer Ramirez dropped to his knees beside us. Chief, ambulance is 90 seconds out. 90 seconds. His voice cracked. He was trying to sound calm, strong, but fear punched through every word. Officer Blake positioned himself behind me, hands shaking. Chief, she's barely breathing. I pressed my ear to her chest, praying, begging for strength in her faint heartbeat. It was there, but too slow, too weak. A neighbor ran forward with a blanket. Another brought water. Someone else started crying. The entire street transformed into a quiet battlefield of horror. And then Karen spoke. I didn't think. I thought she was exaggerating. Her words were trembling, scattered, lost. For the first time, she sounded like a human being and not a monster. But it didn't matter. Not now. I turned, fire blazing through my veins. You chained a heart-patient child, I hissed. You thought she was ruining your view. I could barely breathe as I spoke. This is your fault. Karen backed away slowly, collapsing onto the curb, hands in her hair, whispering, I didn't know, oh my God. But there was no forgiveness coming. Not today. The ambulance screeched into the driveway. Paramedics jumped out, rushing toward us with equipment bags. 6-year-old female, congenital heart condition, oxygen crash, loss of consciousness. I reported automatically, my police training spilling out even in the middle of my terror. The lead paramedic, a woman named Harper, leaned over Lily and immediately signaled to her partner. She's crashing. Pulse is thready. BP dropping. Move, move, move. They lifted Lily from my arms with practiced urgency, placing her onto the stretcher, fitting an oxygen mask over her face, connecting her to their portable EKG. The machine beeped wildly. Her heart was fighting hard, but it wasn't enough. I clung to the stretcher as they rushed toward the ambulance. I'm riding with you, I commanded, half crying, half yelling. Harper nodded firmly. Of course, Chief. Stay on this side. Before I climbed in, I turned back just for a second. Karen stood there, handcuffed, shaking violently, her face pale, her breath uneven, her eyes red. She wasn't screaming anymore. She wasn't bragging. She wasn't lecturing. She wasn't performing authority. She looked broken, but it was too late for regret. Far, far too late. The ambulance doors slammed shut. Inside, everything felt like a hurricane. Bright lights, rushing hands, cold medical instruments, the EKG beeping faster, the oxygen machine pumping harder, meds being prepared, plastic wrappers ripping open. Her heart isn't keeping rhythm, Harper muttered. Her body's in shock. I held onto Lily's tiny hand, brushing my thumb across her knuckles. Baby, you're strong. You've always been strong. Fight for me. Please fight. Her chest rose weakly, then dropped, then rose, then dropped slower. Starting 4, the other medic said, administering epinephrine. A sharp needle pierced her skin. Her body twitched slightly. The monitor beeped irregularly, too fast, then too slow. She's going into arrhythmia, Harper muttered, a deep frown slicing across her forehead. The world swayed around me. Hot tears blurred my vision. I couldn't know. I refused to imagine losing her. Not like this. Not because of a chain. Not because of some deranged woman obsessed with porch rules. Stay with me, Lily, I whispered, leaning close. Mommy's here. You're safe now. Please, please stay. The ambulance hit a bump. The monitor shrieked. Her pulse dropped again. Come on, sweetheart, Harper whispered urgently, rubbing Lily's sternum. Come on, stay with me. I couldn't breathe. It felt like a knife twisting inside me. When we arrived at the hospital, everything became a blur of motion. Nurses swarmed around the stretcher. Doctor shouted orders. Someone pushed me back gently, saying, "We've got her, Chief. Let us work." I wanted to fight them. I wanted to hold her. But my legs were shaking so violently that I could barely remain standing. They wheeled her through the double doors toward the pediatric emergency wing. And then the doors closed behind them, leaving me alone in the hallway, staring at a sterile wall, feeling like my soul had been ripped out. Officer Ramirez found me first. "Chief," he said softly, "Karen has been transported to county jail. Multiple charges. She's not doing well." "Good," I snapped. "I hope she realizes what she almost did." Ramirez hesitated. She asked if Lily would survive. My chest tightened with burning anger. She didn't ask before she chained her. He nodded. I said, "I know." The hallway was quiet except for the distant hum of machines, the squeak of nurses' shoes, and the beating of my own terrified heart. Then a doctor stepped out, Dr. Ellman. His expression was unreadable. I rushed toward him. "Doctor, is she? Please tell me she's—" He held up a gentle hand. "She's stable. For now." The words "for now" nearly dropped me to my knees. "What happened?" I whispered. "We got her oxygen levels up. Her heart rhythm is irregular but responding to treatment. The stress triggered a dangerous episode." Another few minutes he swallowed hard, and it could have been irreversible. My vision swam. "Can I see her?" "In a few minutes," he said softly. "She's resting." I covered my face, finally letting go of the sob I'd been holding back for 15 minutes. Relief hit me like a wave, so strong that it hurt. But then the doctor added something I didn't expect. "Police mentioned she was restrained by a neighbor?" His brows lowered. "She has bruising on her wrists, deep ones. It looks intentional." "She was chained," I whispered, "like an animal." His face hardened with disgust. "We'll document everything." I nodded numbly. Then he said the words that twisted the story even further. "She said something while she was fading in and out of consciousness." My heart pounded. "What did she say?" "She whispered, 'Mommy didn't do it.'" I froze. "What?" She kept repeating it. "Mommy didn't do it. Mommy didn't do it," like she was trying to defend you. Tears burned down my cheeks again. And then the doctor added, "And she said one more thing. Soft, faint, but clear." I leaned forward. "What did she say?" "She said Karen wasn't alone." My blood turned to ice. Not alone. Who else was involved? Who else touched my daughter? Who else helped chain her? A new fear crawled into my spine. This wasn't just Karen's cruelty. There was another person, another set of hands, another shadow in this story. And whoever they were still out there. Karen wasn't alone. Those 3 words wrapped around my chest like ice-cold chains. I stood there in the fluorescent hospital hallway, numb, trembling, unable to breathe. For a moment, I thought I heard wrong, thought the doctor misunderstood, thought maybe Lily mumbled something through the oxygen mask. But I knew my daughter. She didn't lie. She didn't exaggerate. And even in pain, she noticed everything. Someone else had been there. Someone else had touched her. Someone else helped Karen chain my medically fragile child to our porch. I swallowed hard, my voice cracking. "Did she describe the person? A name? Anything?" The doctor shook his head. "She was too weak." The words came out softly, almost like a warning. My throat tightened painfully. A warning. Not for her. For me. I took a step back, forcing myself to breathe. My mind raced, replaying the morning, every sound, every shadow, every detail. I didn't remember seeing anyone else, not on the porch, not near the house, not across the street. But that didn't mean they weren't there. Officer Ramirez approached slowly, his face lined with concern. "Chief, I overheard. You want me to send someone back to the neighborhood?" "Yes," I said immediately. "Start canvassing. Check outdoor cameras. Ring doorbells. Ask every neighbor what they saw or heard." I paused. Focus on anyone who frequently sides with Karen. Ramirez nodded. "The HOA board?" "Especially them." As he stepped away, I felt a cold dread crawling down my spine. The HOA board. The same group, who had always dismissed my complaints about Karen. The same people who treated my daughter like a disturbance. The same ones who told me quietly that children with visible medical equipment make the neighborhood look depressing. I clenched my jaw until it hurt. If one of them helped her. "Chief," the doctor said gently, "you can see her now." I followed him into the dimly lit recovery room. There she was, my little girl, hooked to machines, breathing through a mask, tiny chest rising weakly. Her wrists were wrapped in gauze. Her skin was pale. Her hair stuck to her forehead. But she was alive. I pulled up the chair beside her. "Hi, baby," I whispered, brushing her cheek. "Mommy's here." Her eyelids fluttered. She tried to speak through the mask. I leaned closer. "Mo, more than one." Her voice was barely a breath. But the message hit me like a sledgehammer. "More than one person hurt you?" I whispered. A faint nod. My stomach twisted so violently I almost felt sick. Lily wasn't just chained. She was surrounded, outnumbered, ambushed. "Baby, did they say anything? Did you hear their voice?" I asked, trying to keep calm. Her fingers twitched weakly, drawing an invisible shape in the air. A circle, then a square, then she tapped her chest twice. I knew that pattern. My breath caught. That was the symbol on the HOA badges. The board. She was telling me it was a board member. "Baby, was it a man or a woman?" She swallowed, eyes closing halfway. "Man." My hands curled into fists. A man from the HOA board. There were 4 male board members, all of them close to Karen. One of them touched my daughter. One of them helped chain her. One of them stood by while she struggled to breathe. I kissed her forehead. "Rest, sweetheart. Mommy's fixing everything." As soon as I stepped out of the room, my phone buzzed. "Officer Ramirez. Chief, you need to see this. Now. Neighbor video found. Going to your house." I sprinted out of the hospital, not caring that I was still wearing the thin, disposable gown they gave me. I drove faster than I ever had, not as a police chief, but as a mother. When I arrived on my street, several patrol cars were parked. A cluster of neighbors stood outside, whispering. Ramirez ran toward me. "Chief, you're going to want to brace yourself. What did you find?" He pulled out his phone and tapped a video. Footage from the Blackwell's doorbell cam. The video started. Karen walked across my yard, alone at first. Then another figure stepped into frame. A man, tall, dark hair, wearing a navy polo, carrying something heavy, a chain. My blood froze. "Pause," I said sharply. Ramirez tapped the screen. The man's face was clear. Mr. Thompson, vice president of the HOA, Karen's strongest supporter. Known for complaining about disabled children lowering home values. Known for referring to Lily's wheelchair as unsightly equipment. The rage that surged inside me was so violent it rattled my bones. My hands went numb. My ears rang. My vision shook. Ramirez watched me carefully. "Chief, it gets worse." He pressed play again. Karen and Thompson whispered to each other. They looked around. Then both stepped onto my porch. Karen grabbed Lily's wrist. Thompson held the chain. Together, they wrapped it around my daughter. Together, they locked her to the railing. Together, they stepped back, admiring their work like they'd solved a community problem. And then, the video caught something I hadn't expected. Thompson leaned toward Lily and said something with a sickening smile. "Don't cry. You'll upset the neighbors." My vision blurred with fury. Ramirez whispered, "We're arresting him now." Another officer jogged toward us. "Chief, Thompson isn't home. His wife says he grabbed a suitcase and left in a hurry 10 minutes ago. So, he was running." "Good. Let him run." I would hunt him down myself if I had to. But then something even darker clicked in my mind. If Thompson fled, he knew he was guilty. He knew we saw the footage. He knew Lily spoke. He knew the truth was spreading. But Karen insisted she acted alone. That meant one thing. She didn't know Thompson betrayed her. And that meant something even bigger. Thompson used her. He manipulated her, pushed her, let her take the fall, let her be the face of the cruelty while he stood in the shadows, protected, respected, hidden. But he made one mistake. He hurt my daughter. And now, I was coming for him. Every badge in the county was coming for him. Ramirez stepped closer. "Chief, what are your orders?" I raised my eyes, fire burning through every nerve in my body. "Full warrant. Statewide bolo. Check airports, bus stations, interstate cameras. I want him found." "Yes, Chief." "And Ramirez?" He paused. "Yes." "When you arrest him," my voice lowered to a growl, "do not let me near him, or God knows what I'll do." Ramirez swallowed. "Understood." But even as I gave orders, another chilling thought crept into my mind. If Thompson helped Karen, why? What was his motive? What was he planning? And why did he run the second Lily mentioned an accomplice? What else was he hiding? What else had he done? What else was he willing to do? This wasn't over. Not even close. I stood in the middle of my living room, lights off, curtains drawn, waiting for the next update on Thompson's whereabouts. My daughter was fighting for her life at the hospital, and the man who helped chain her like an animal was now on the run. Every ticking second felt like a countdown to something far worse. Unease spread inside me, heavy and suffocating, like a storm cloud thickening above my head. My phone buzzed. "Officer Ramirez." I answered instantly. "Tell me you found him." "Not yet," he replied, frustration in his voice. "But we searched his house." "Chief, something's off. Way off. You need to come here." "I'm on my way." When I pulled up to Thompson's property, the scene was swarming with officers. Yellow tape, flashlights, quiet tension. Ramirez waved me over urgently. "What is it?" I asked. "You're not going to believe this." He handed me a folder, one that looked too professional, too organized, too intentional. I opened it. Inside were photos. Dozens, maybe hundreds. All of my daughter. Some taken from across the street. Some from a car parked near her home. Some from behind bushes. Some zoomed in on her medical equipment. Some on her wrists. Some of her sitting alone on the porch. Some of her walking with me to the doctor's car. My stomach lurched. What is this?" I whispered. Ramirez shook his head. "We think Thompson's been watching her for months." I flipped through more pages. Notes were scribbled in the margins. If the mother keeps putting her outside, the board may approve action. Child's condition lowers aesthetic value of street. Karen is emotionally unstable enough to do the physical work. If she takes the fall, board reputation remains clean. My blood ran cold. He planned it. I breathed. He planned everything. Ramirez nodded grimly. "And there's more." He led me into Thompson's office, if you could even call it that. It was more like a control room. Wall-to-wall monitors. A setup that watched multiple houses. Not just mine, every house with kids, elderly residents, or anything he considered unsightly. "This man was keeping tabs on half the neighborhood," Ramirez muttered, "but he focused heavily on you and Lily." I spotted another binder on the desk, labeled Property Value Risks. Inside were profiles of families he considered damaging to the street's market appeal. Disabled child, elderly couple, family with loud dog, single mother. I wasn't the only target. We were all being watched, judged, measured. "This is more than HOA obsession," I said softly. "This is psychotic." Ramirez nodded. "And you're not going to like this part." He handed me another sealed envelope. I opened it. Inside were printed emails between Thompson and the HOA president, Mrs. Willoughby. My jaw clenched. The emails were coded in polite language, but the intent was unmistakable. "We must maintain community perfection. Children with visible disabilities create discomfort for potential buyers. Perhaps Karen can handle the situation quietly. If something happens, we can distance ourselves legally." A chill spread through my entire body. The HOA knew. They knew Karen was unstable. They knew she would overreact. They weaponized her. They used her as the perfect distraction. And Thompson? He was the one pulling strings behind the scenes. I straightened up slowly, my voice turning into steel. "We're arresting the HOA president next." "We already did," Ramirez said. "She was in her kitchen packing a bag. when we arrived. Looks like she planned to run too. Good. Very good. But then he hesitated. There's something else. What? I demanded. We found a storage locker rented under Thompson's name. We opened it a few minutes ago. And the contents are, Chief, you need to see it yourself. We drove there in silence, a long, hollow silence that filled every inch of the car. When we arrived, the locker was already open. 4 officers stood around the entrance, pale, shaken. I walked inside and froze. There were more photos, more folders, more charts, more surveillance footage. But then I saw something that made the world tilt under my feet. A blueprint of my house, highlighted areas, front porch, back door, garage, Lily's bedroom window. What was he planning? I whispered. Ramirez pointed at another document pinned to the wall. A letter, not printed, handwritten. I stepped closer. Lily cannot continue to be a visible liability. If the mother refuses to relocate, steps must be taken to protect our property values. The board will not approve another year of declining aesthetics. Do what must be done. My legs nearly buckled. This wasn't about rules. This wasn't about a porch. This wasn't about medical equipment. This was about erasing anything imperfect. And my daughter, my sweet, fragile daughter, was at the top of their list. I gripped the paper so tightly it crumpled in my hand. We're charging them with conspiracy. I said quietly, my voice shaking with fury. Child endangerment, assault, planning bodily harm, everything we can throw at them. Yes, Chief. But then Ramirez added, we're not done. There's an email Thompson sent this morning at 5 a.m. He handed me a printed copy. It happens today. Prepare the property for adjustments. My heart slammed against my ribs. Adjustments wasn't about the porch. It wasn't about the railing. It wasn't about the house. It was about Lily. My lips trembled as I whispered, they planned to force us to move or destroy us if we didn't. Ramirez nodded. This wasn't Karen's idea. She was manipulated, used, pushed. I exhaled slowly. Karen was still guilty, but she wasn't the mastermind. This was deeper, darker, more coordinated. A whole organization, pretending to be a harmless neighborhood committee, had set out to crush the weakest residents in the name of aesthetic perfection, and they almost killed my daughter. Ramirez stepped forward quietly. Chief, Thompson is still missing, but he can't run forever. No, I said, he can't. But inside me a storm raged, because the deeper truth wasn't just ugly, it was personal. Thompson didn't choose my daughter randomly. He didn't pick her because she had medical equipment. He didn't target us because of property values. He targeted us because of me. The night felt longer than any I had lived through. Outside the hospital room, rain hammered the windows like the world itself was furious about what had happened. I sat beside Lily's bed, brushing strands of hair away from her forehead, whispering to her, praying for her tiny heartbeat to grow stronger with each rise and fall of her chest. But even while sitting there, holding my daughter's fragile hand, my mind wasn't quiet. It raced, it pulsed, it burned, because I finally understood the truth. Thompson didn't target my daughter because she was sick. He targeted her because of me. And now that he'd fled, he was unpredictable, desperate, dangerous, a cornered animal. I wasn't just waiting for news. I was waiting for his next move. At 2:17 a.m., Officer Ramirez burst into the hallway, soaked from rain. Chief, he made contact. My breath caught. Where? Not a call. Not a message. He handed me a small envelope dripping water droplets. This was left on the hood of your car. My pulse quickened. I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper. You took everything from me. Now, I'm taking something from you. A chill shot straight down my spine. He's nearby, I whispered. He's close. Too close. Ramirez nodded. We already have officers sweeping the hospital grounds. We're locking every entrance. But as he spoke, a distant sound echoed from down the hall. A soft metallic click. A door hinge shifting. I stood instantly. That came from the pediatric wing. Ramirez drew his weapon. Stay behind me. No, I said fiercely. If he's here for my daughter, I'm not hiding. We moved together, silent, tense, down the dim hallway. The hospital had emptied out for the night, leaving only the hum of machines and the faint glow of emergency lights. Another sound, a soft scrape, like a shoe sliding on linoleum. We turned the corner, and there he was, Thompson, dripping wet, clothes dark with rain, eyes wild, one hand gripping something under his jacket, something long, metal, threatening. He stood just 3 doors down from Lily's room. My heart slammed against my ribs so violently it hurt. Don't take another step, I growled, stepping forward. His head lifted slowly, that sickening smirk twisting onto his face. Chief, he whispered, you're supposed to protect the neighborhood from threats, but you are the threat. You brought down the value of everything I built. You hurt my daughter, I snapped. You nearly killed her. He took one slow, deliberate step toward me. And I'll finish what I started. Ramirez aimed his gun, hands where I can see them. Thompson laughed, not loudly, but in a way that made my skin crawl. You think I'm scared of you? Of the law? I've controlled this neighborhood for years. Everyone listens to me. Everyone fears me. I took a step closer. But you made one mistake. He tilted his head. What's that? You went after the wrong child. Before he could blink, I lunged. All the rage I had been holding inside, every moment of fear, every tear shed, every second watching Lily fight, for breath exploded through my body. I tackled him to the floor. His weapon, a long metal lock-breaking tool, skidded away across the tiles. He thrashed violently, but I pinned him down with a strength I didn't know I still had. Years of training sharpened into instinct. You think you're powerful? I hissed through clenched teeth. You think rules make you God? You think people like you get to hurt my daughter? He tried to claw at my arm but failed. You ruined everything, he spat. A sick child lowers the entire. Say one more word about my daughter, I growled, tightening my grip around his wrists, and I swear I won't wait for a courtroom. Ramirez rushed in and cuffed him. Thompson Miles, you are under arrest for conspiracy to endanger a child, attempted harm, breaking and entering, coercion, harassment, and multiple federal charges under Title 18. Thompson screamed, thrashing like an animal. No, you can't. I run that neighborhood. I run it. You can't do this to me. But his voice faded behind us as 2 more officers dragged him down the hall, his yells echoing until they were swallowed by the storm outside. It was over, but I didn't feel relief. Not yet. I stumbled back toward Lily's room, heart still hammering. When I pushed open the door, she was awake, barely, her eyes half open, breathing softly. She looked fragile, vulnerable, but alive. Mommy, she whispered, voice tiny under the oxygen mask. I rushed to her bedside, kneeling, kissing her forehead, tears falling freely. I'm here, baby. I'm here. You're safe. He can't hurt you anymore. She smiled weakly, reaching her small hand toward my cheek. You saved me, she murmured. No, I whispered, pressing her hand against my face. You saved yourself. You fought. You survived. Her eyes fluttered softly. I love you, Mommy. I love you more than anything in this world. Her heart monitor beeped steadily, stronger than before. Stronger than I expected, like her heart refused to give up. And in that moment, everything came rushing back, the fear, the anger, the pain, the fight, but also the truth. This wasn't just our story. This wasn't just about Karen, or Thompson, or the HOA. This was about every child who gets mistreated, every disabled kid who's judged, every parent who's ignored, every family treated like they're less because they don't fit someone's perfect picture. Standing beside my daughter, watching her breathe, watching her thrive, I finally understood the message this story needed to carry. I turned to the camera in my mind, the one representing every viewer watching this story, and I spoke from my heart. If you're watching this, I want you to remember something. A community isn't defined by its lawns or its fences. It's defined by how it treats its weakest members, disabled children, sick children, Struggling families. They're not a burden. They're the heart of what makes us human. Stand up for them. Fight for them. Protect them. The world is only beautiful if everybody belongs. As I held Lily's hand, the morning sun began to rise outside the hospital window. Light spilled across her bed, soft and warm. She squeezed my fingers gently. "Mommy, are we going home?" I smiled through tears. "Yes, baby, we're going home. And no one is ever chaining you again.